the kind of students we were receiving, students with 80%, 90% marks, but their actual conceptual strength was very shallow. It is not the right answer that matters. It is the right question that is so important. At the end of the day, school exists for student. Unknowingly, schools become teacher-centric. In education, it is so important. Marks are important. We are not disagreeing that. But how you got those marks is also very important. That part is so opaque.
That's a black box.
Black box, and nobody pays so much of attention to. Some students are merit, some students are average, below average. All this is a systemic issue, not the human issue.
The system didn't identify them and help them in their way.
The teacher, the parent, and the school leadership come together to help the student to learn without knowledge gaps. Then there is no average, below average. Every student are above the benchmark. The point is, if you believe that your students deserve this kind of education, and your effort is to provide that kind of education to the students wherever you are operating your school, then it is quite a happy situation. This conversational technology is going to change the way students can learn. If you give this technology to the teacher in the classroom, and that teacher leverages this tutor to be there with the student as her avatar 24/7 with the student, then for the student, it is the teacher in class is now with me 24/7. As a result, what happens is, because of that teacher being there, student has initially a compulsion to learn, but the moment when the student is enjoying learning through this, the compulsion becomes comfort.
So thank you so much for taking our time today, and one of the awaited sessions that I wanted to do, because you're the man who has all the as they call it, Sarvagun Sampann in education, and now you're on to the most daring AI journey in education. There are a lot of apprehension, there are a lot of questions around it. People are excited, yet they're afraid, how this is going to change the world of education. But before we get into that, just want to know, what is a man of mathematics and business administration doing in education? You had a very clear career cut out for you. What brought you into education?
Thank you, Aakash. It is my pleasure to spend this morning with you talking on my journey. I'm not sure what brought me to education, whether it was my passion to education or just a chance that I got into it. But before gotten into education, I was trying to check my luck at civil services. Was not successful. Then
Which year was it? How long back?
This was 1988, 89, around that time. Long back.
Long back, yeah.
Yeah. So after a few trials, gotten into education in 1993. That's about 32 years ago.
Okay. And it was clear that I have to do a school.
There was no such thing like, that time we started as 11th intermediate in AP, Visakhapatnam. That was the cheapest way you could start business, because there was no money.
Why would you call it cheapest way to start?
Any business to start, you needed money.
Yeah.
So we didn't have, me and Raj, we didn't have money to invest.
Raj is, I want to mention here, is your, very, very strong old partner.
Yeah.
You both have done this journey together.
Yes. So we were classmates since 2nd standard, and started business together in 1993. So still going strong together. Yeah. Now we are building our houses together. So you can say it is a lifelong journey together.
They say don't do business with friends, but you have been really only doing business with friends.
So that is very interesting.
What's the formula? What's the guidance there for people who want to do that?
when Raj and I were planning to start business, one of our well-wishers suggested, please don't do business together. Because if you the business is success, you fight who shall get more credit, and if it is failure, who shall be blamed for it. Either way, you are going to fight.
Yeah.
If you want your relation to,
And which is very common, and I've seen people, friends, really good friends, got into business, and then the success when it comes to the venture, the egos build up. Who's going to take the share of success? So very rightly pointed out. So how did you manage that?
so fortunately, we were friends, and we trust each other so much, and at an intention level. Second is the kind of so I am his first well-wisher and he is my first well-wisher. So the dependence on each other is so strong and high. There was no way we could fight and survive. That you can say. Even at a skills level, we complement each other.
Okay.
So for organizational success, both of us know that the other person is also compulsorily be there. Even now.
So how's the role divided? Like who does what?
So it has actually evolved. So Raj is very creative and strong in numbers. So he takes care of marketing, sales, and finance side of the business. I take care of rest of the things. So it is more like because he has certain strengths and I have certain strengths. Over the time, we shaped up into the gap areas so that together it makes it complete.
Right.
And it is a long journey, hence with times also we are changing, learning, and shaping up together.
And you started journey from junior college and going into IB education, which is the other extreme of education framework that there is, which is highly inquisitive based, a lot of curiosity being taught in the class, whereas junior college is very, very cookie cutter, rote learning, learn this, read this, cram it, and then reproduce it. So were you afraid? Where was this idea that do you want to switch from this to that? Were you not getting satisfied with this kind of education program?
On the hindsight, you can say we were kind of innovators in whatever we were doing. Even in 93 when we started 11th, 12th, the intermediate education. Those days it used to be after your 12th, a 30-day, 40-day coaching, or after 12th, 1 year long-term coaching. That used to be the format coaching business. Then we thought it is unnecessary waste of 1 year of time. So put it together and with 11th, 12th itself, it is an interwoven form of learning. The 11th, 12th plus coaching were put together. I don't know the national level data, but in that combined AP, we were the first to do it that way.
Oh.
And later on, the national brands have picked it up, and it has become norm after some time. But however, what we were feeling is the kind of students we were receiving in 11th, 12th were so rote-learned students with 80%, 90% marks, but their actual conceptual strength was very shallow.
How did you test that?
So when we were dealing with 11th, 12th students, they had kind of marks 85%, 95% marks. But when it was like a competitive track, any exams like, they were 30%, 40% levels only. So we were sitting in the academic rooms, so blaming the schools and the way they were churning out the students. It is very easy to criticize.
Right.
Then in one of those discussions, this question came, what if we start a school, how it is going to be so different?
Just like a
just a casual chat.
casual chat, and then.
That was the initial trigger.
And this was how many years after your junior college start?
This we started thinking in '99.
After 10 years of
It
junior
is
college?
6 years.
6 years. So first junior college came into action in
93.
93.
So that was the primary motivation. Then Raj and I went around the country and later abroad to just figure out what makes it a good school.
Wow.
No idea. So why a school is a good school and why a school is not so good school.
Yeah, what is the...
So, yeah, and as part of it, we visited almost 100 schools anywhere in the country or outside. Just
in 99?
In 99, 2000.
Okay.
Were
there IB schools then? No.
There were about 7-8 schools.
Those,
Kodai International was there, and a couple of other schools, American Embassy School in Mumbai. Yeah. So that's one reason. The second reason was also what we have realized is this competitive exam-based model was getting into deep pocket game. Like by then already it started picking students, offering free or giving all sorts of incentives, merit students to join the coaching model intermediate colleges. We realized very quickly that soon it is going to be only deep pocket game, without which you are not going to survive in this model. That was you understand what it is.
Oh yeah, I understand inside out. I mean, there are many names in that in that segment.
Fortunately, we were very early to realize that. By the way, when we were at our you can say peak, we were the first in the country, the state MSET, to get 100% score. That was 200 on 200 in medicine entrance.
From your junior college?
Yeah.
And that was purely based on what you were doing?
That program. So still, we realized it is, currently we are at our best, but the future when we saw, it's something going into wrong direction. So we didn't want to be in the same business. Right. That was the second reason. And few other factors were driving us. This is not something we were enjoying so much, the coaching model.
So you went around look for land? So
before that, we actually, again, chance taking, we met Shomie in 2000 in Dehradun.
So Shomie Das, I've heard a lot. I mean, there's a significant mention of Shomie's name in your book also. So it would be very interesting to learn about this interaction and then, how you end up making Shomie as your mentor.
So in the process of figuring out what makes it a good school, we visited Doon School also in 2000. And someone who was taking us around the school from that school staff casually mentioned about Shomie. Those days there was no mobile phone roaming also. We took his phone number and called from public telephone booth. Luckily he was there at home in Dehradun itself. So he said casually, come over. So we went, hoping that maybe it is 15-20 minutes of just seeing and saying hello, which turned to be 4-5 hours of endless conversation. And we were supposed to leave that evening, but we took chance and we changed our travel plans and stayed back and spent time with him. It was so, you can say, Shomie, by the way, his family, at least to my knowledge, the only family from India who have had 5 generations going to Cambridge.
Wow.
So
5 generations going to Cambridge.
his grandfather, father, himself,
Great-grandfather.
then his
Children.
daughter, and now grandson.
Oh, okay.
So coming from that kind of background, and where me and Raz coming from, it was a chance coming together. So by then we didn't know anything about IB or International Baccalaureate. To cut the story short, so he suggested, why don't you start an IB school to realize all your dreams come true. So since Shomie said, we said, okay, we go ahead.
We'll go ahead.
Without knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
Then only realized that Visakhapatnam is too a small place for such kind of project. Then we opted it to do in Hyderabad. That is
But
how
junior college was in Visakhapatnam. Isaac.
And definitely IB was way advanced from those times for Visakhapatnam. So we started in Hyderabad. It was a big struggle. Way back in 2001, all our classrooms were internet connected.
Okay.
Considering from those times when the Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu came to inaugurate the school, he just so surprised to see classrooms were internet connected. By then his office and his secretaries were not yet internet connected. And so, as I said, we are in a way innovators in the process of education. Whatever we were doing, not thinking so much about it, but there was an urge to do so much different so that it is going to impact the learning better. That was the only idea. Shomie, in fact, was suggesting to have 4 internet connected computers in each classroom.
Okay.
Our budgets were not permitting. So initially we started with 1 computer, internet connected each classroom. That's the journey. Only nobody in India had any clue about IB.
So what was the outcome of that meeting with Shomie? What was his answer to your question? What makes a good school? So what were those parameters that you came out with? Now we are clear that these are the things that are needed for good school, and now we're going to find and make it.
Few things like our intermediate college, while we were doing so passionately, Shomie said, this is a teaching shop you are running. Oh, teaching shop? We never have heard
this word.
This word.
Sweatshop, teaching shop.
Yeah. So it's not a school, it's not a college, it's a teaching shop. What do you mean by teaching shop? So you just teach, you don't do anything else. So then what makes it a good school? It has to be holistic. Then what is a holistic school? So the discussion went on a kind of, then we realized that there is so much at a conceptual level you need to know to start a school, and it should be at your deep conviction level. You should believe that yes, this is what we want to do. While we had this aspiration to do a good school, but had no idea what makes it a good school. So then, again, in 2001, he said, it is not the right answer that matters. It is the right question that is so important. So from those times, it was a too advanced concept.
A concept or a conversation to accept.
Yeah. So coming from intermediate background, so right answer was everything.
Right. You were applauded for right answer, not questions.
Not right question, but so now when we say prompt, so we can understand it is right question.
Yeah, that matters.
That matters. You get answer. You don't need to know the answer. You need to have right question. Like that, there are so many things that we were trying to understand first and bring it to life. And by the way, Shomie also didn't do any IB school before.
Oh, never.
Before.
But what
Before
was Shomie
2000.
doing, at that time? Was
Shomie just retired from Doon School as a headmaster.
Yeah, and then
he was helping setting up schools in India and outside.
Okay.
So he was a passionate educator. That's how he entertained us. But he didn't believe that we have had resources or capability to start a school. So he was somehow wanted to give higher challenges to us, and so that we dropped the idea. That was
he scared you with his demand of a good school.
So just
but that was a challenge. You
scare them out.
Scare them out.
That was his thinking. But it proved to be a blessing for us. We just took it to the T, and we went ahead and did everything he said.
So did you end up, reading books on good schooling, good education, join some program to, I would not call it upskill, but open up your thought process? Or was it like, you show me what to do and I'll just do it?
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
No other sources of knowledge we try to acquire about good school. Just to visit a school, pick up something that's working well in that school.
That you continued even after?
So even...
Which school has really impressed you?
It's very difficult to say. There are many different things from different schools. Probably we have picked it and in such a way put it together. There are many things, even not just from schools. Maybe it is from colleges, maybe from in the service sector, hospitality, in the technology space, whatever is working well. We were just evaluating whether can we in which way take it and put it in the school. So that is how Oakridge started as a journey.
And why the name Oakridge?
There is no specific reason, but definitely ours was Vikas, the intermediate college. We quickly thought there would be a kind of expectation clash from each brand. So we wanted to have an independent brand. We asked Shomie, please suggest a name for the school. So we were in Hyderabad and going in a car, and suddenly he saw some billboard, and then he said, so we name our school as Oakridge. So we said, yeah, it is sounding well, let us start it. Then sometime later, he explained how it triggered for him. So when he was student, after his master's, he tried to get a research position in Oakridge Labs in US. He didn't get that chance. So
so the name stayed with him.
Name stayed with him. And Oppenheimer movie recently when we watched, then we realized what is Oakridge and all about.
So for Oakridge, what were those ingredients? And you've gone around the school, all across the country and globally. So what can the educators of today learn from your experience of Oakridge? What is that, what are those couple of things that they must focus more on, to get onto the journey to make their schools a great school? What is a non-negotiable?
The child-centricity.
Child-centricity.
Because, end of the day, school exists for student. Unknowingly, schools become teacher-centric.
It has to be student-centric.
It should be student-centric. What all you can do for that student to do better in one's life. Not necessary one get 100 on 100. That is the only way of success you define. It's not. So for the teacher, not to be the source of knowledge, rather a facilitator of learning. Itself is a kind of understanding teachers need to develop. It's not very complex. In today's age and time, that is much more easy. Those days it was difficult. So the only way is if teacher has to be facilitator of learning, naturally point the student to where all one can look at and pick up knowledge. A lot of knowledge acquisition happens in your real life, so much through observation, and also some through the technology. Later on came YouTube and whole lot of other sources of knowledge, but those days also there was so much of possibility to pick up knowledge from different life experiences. But teachers should be knowledgeable enough to point the students where all to go and figure it out. That's how it fitted so well for us, IB being inquiry-based learning. To build a child-centric school, IB was the most favorable curriculum that was very fitting.
So you did check at a CBSE, ICSE, Cambridge, IB,
because
all curriculums.
Shomie had the knowledge. We didn't need to check all that, but that was given to us.
Given to you.
But then no one in the country had that knowledge. Then we recruited people, mostly who were interested in education, but not so much in teaching experience. So that it was so easy to train them. How do you train them when no one is there in the country? We sent them out to different schools outside India.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and pick up some interesting clues, and it was a journey by itself. But you can say that was a gamble. It worked out very well. Most of the years that we were part of Oakridge, we were not recruiting teachers who had IB background.
And you
We
brought them up to the level of IB.
IB. So,
and you think the schools should have a significant emphasis and investment in creating training and learning development outfits?
That's very important.
And not just bank on lateral hires and just push them into class.
The problem that time was people who have had IB background were mostly these expat schools. They were resource-intensive schools, and no way we could spend that kind of money, not charge that kind of money from parents. So we had to innovate an Indian-centric Indian model, and many things that IB reworked in its course of journey because of working for Oakridge or with Oakridge. Because those days, over 80% of the teachers, 75% of the teachers were supposed to be expats. So then our fee, there was no way we could have expat teachers. Then we went to IB and tried to explain, look, if it is diversity is the reason why you want expat teachers, India is more diverse than Europe.
Yeah.
So if for UK, a teacher from Spain or France is an expat teacher and that is diversity, India every 100 kilometers is so diverse, we figure it out.
Yeah.
So likewise, we worked with IB and convinced IB so much to understand India. They were just putting the same measure for every other place. Because of our constraints, the intense engagement we have had with IB helped both.
Even IB too.
IB too.
Learn about
IB
India.
could proliferate in India because of that kind of work. And today, most of the top schools in India are headed by ex-Oakridge team that grew up as leaders.
Yeah.
And
I've met some of them.
and a happy thing that way. Some time ago, so IB Director General, she was visiting Hyderabad for a conference. We requested her to visit the school. Usually in those trips they don't do that, but somehow she was also an Indian. Like interestingly, she was also a Telugu lady. So which school is this? Why they are interested inviting me to school? And she went to social media and figured out that this is very interesting, and she came to school, and she just said, "I came to see you because you could explain IB better than me."
Wow.
So the point was like we were not so passionate about IB, but we wanted to do a good school, and it was a nice
That was the route to a good school.
Exactly.
Can, IB is a limited curriculum school in India right now. There are about 250, 300 odd schools. And can CBSE schools, which is the mass, and the state board schools, which is the greater mass, learn anything from IB, or they always be a restriction because of their framework? Can these schools become great also?
See, what is again an IB school is all about. First thing is child centricity, inquiry based learning, teacher being the facilitator of learning. If this is understood well,
These ethos are
understood well, every school is an IB school. Be you are a state board school or a CBSE school, no matter it is. IB is not against marks or nothing like that. It is so much more easy today because today a tutor can be far greater teacher than the teacher in classroom. So much more personalized. And every student can learn to their best, above benchmark, and learn without knowledge gaps with the help of a tutor. That's what we are doing at Coschool. And whoever is making that kind of effort, then what is the role of the teacher in classroom? So I am one who strongly believes that the teacher and school are going to remain in the equation in school education space for times to come, no matter what the technology can do. So leverage that, and the teacher in classroom is so essential to inspire students to learn. It won't happen automatically. So how a teacher can inspire students to learn? If they love the student, it is the energy that flows. It's not such a big thing. If you are seeing the student and the student is so deserving and you love the student, you have done the job fantastic. You don't need to do anything. I was laughingly saying an IMA can do better job than a learned teacher, because IMA just loves, the love is more pure when compared to the egocentric teacher.
Right.
The second thing is also you should have so much of liking to your subject. So when you learn something that you like, you have goosebumps. That excitement, if you bring to classroom,
the learning will become fun.
So it is such a excitement for students too. It's not at all difficult. It is very easy. And the moment students enjoy learning and they know that the teacher loves them, rest all happens automatically. Thereby the inquiry happens, the child centricity is there, and teacher is a facilitator of learning. That's what fundamental for any IB school. It's not necessary to be so resource intensive at this point of time. Those were the days gone.
Resources are available now, even when the IB was sort of incepted, the resources were lack. It's just, the student centricity and inquiry-based learning and teacher becoming the facilitator. These principles, when they were formed, they did not require resources. Resources now adding on to the overall experience now.
Added to that, those were the times you needed small classroom just to take care of every student. Now with this generative AI and other newer technologies, you don't need a smaller classroom as well. You just need to organize the classroom well.
And in your journey in the school, was there any moment there where you felt, I need to sort of increase this, quality of teaching or education, take this excellence out to many more locations, or you felt that, I need to focus here only and let the students and the parents come to where the excellence is? Did you try to make a playbook out of it that, can we take this benefit to the other places?
We wanted to take it to every smaller place also. Always our belief was what we have learned at Oakridge, where the cost is going and how do you minimize those costs so that you can try it out in other places even at a lesser fee. So that was the whole idea. But the basic infrastructure and other costs are so high in this country. People willingness to spend for such resources is far less. And not every place parents have that understanding of what good education can bring to their children. Even today, for vast majority of parents, good education means more marks.
Good marks or more marks.
That's it. So in education, it is so important. Marks are important. We are not disagreeing that. But how you got those marks is also very important. That part is so opaque.
That's a black box.
Black box, and nobody pays so much of attention to. Even if you encourage copying and get marks, still it is okay for most parents.
So I think this is a very important point that you mentioned. What efforts schools need to do, and you did, in actually not only educating children for the curriculum, but also educating parents, that how they need to, keep patience and let the process work on the students. So I think, we always say that, this is a sort of a joint venture between the student, parent, and the mentor, which is the school, teacher, and the system. So what changes and interactions you had to do on the parent side, and can the schools from today learn from your experience there?
That time we were relatively fortunate. I don't know. It all was our work. I don't think so. Hyderabad was just receiving so many relocation population from US and other countries. It was just that IT happening in India at time.
The booming
Just started. So in Hyderabad, for those relocating parents, particularly organizations like Microsoft and there were many times, because there were no admissions in Oakridge, Microsoft had to wait for 1 year to transfer their employees to Hyderabad.
Wow.
So that was the kind of situation. So for those families relocating to Hyderabad, Oakridge was the place to go.
Right.
Including the government, when these foreign companies were visiting to set up in Hyderabad, in their tour of showing facilities and infrastructure in the city, they used to show Oakridge. We have this kind of schools. So it was so timing wise perfect. Hence Oakridge um, had parents who believed in this kind of education, who were actually looking for this kind of education. So it that made so different for the school.
So you talk about timing. Imagine opening Oakridge in the early 90s. Do you think it would have turned around the way it did?
I think very difficult.
Difficult.
Very difficult.
There was no awareness.
There was no awareness. There was no aspiration. It would have been a huge struggle, uphill task.
And now the IB education, international curriculum education, that is coming up in the 2024-25 period. Do you see this more of catching or catching on to the opportunity that there is, or do you feel that IB education, GCSE education in India has come a long way and has become better?
See, if it is a marketing gimmick,
Yeah.
it is you are.
Do you think a lot of people use this as a marketing gimmick?
Today, everybody calls themselves as an international school. So without even knowing what is an international school. So we were one of the early group of schools trying to define what is international school. So ICSE
truly international school.
What definition of international school? The point is, if you believe that your students deserve this kind of education, and your effort is to provide that kind of education to the students wherever you are operating your school, then it is quite a happy situation. You are genuinely trying to do what the best you can do for those students. And as a result, be it ICSE or IB or even CBSE can be there offering the ethos that I have mentioned. But the moment it is for you to get more students, it is only marketing gimmick to charge more higher fee. Then it is unfair.
Doesn't IB see through this, the organization, the IBO?
See, IB trusts the school, the leadership, their intent, and try to support the best possible way. IB is not like you are a regulator, you are a controller. IB thinks I am a facilitator.
If you need my help, I'll come forward.
Come forward. I genuinely evaluate and give you support for you to thrive and provide good education for students. That's the mindedness IB has. But as you know, not every school promoter is so genuinely interested in providing that kind of education for their students.
You mentioned the word regulation, and in formal education, this has been a bane because it, on one side, it allows equality and keeping the North Star for the education promoters to continue to work for the society. But on the other hand, given the current scenario, to set up a good school, the land, the resources, people has become so expensive. If regulations remain the way they are, do you think it'll become even more challenging for entrepreneurs and promoters to set up high quality school and continue to invest? People want to give back to society, but there has to be a system and a model that can create enough outcome, enough surplus that people want to take back as return of their hard work or their effort, time and money. So do you think this regulations will change over a period of time, or they will not change and we will have to make do good with what the systems that prevail?
Arise, we are in the process of, we are in the activity of educating governments,
Advocating
and
this. Yeah.
you did the sessions with Prabhat, Manit, Praveen, and others. So,
Yes.
see, there is nothing like you think that this remains like this and you just condemn it. There is nothing like. See, everybody is working for the country to progress.
Yeah.
And everybody understands education is an important activity that need to be properly be organized, without which country cannot progress. But the issue is what is that organizing properly is not so much known to everyone. So as part of it, we came up with a model code way back in 2016-17 that is the most balanced act that any state government can adopt, and help the schools to conduct themselves in a regulated way. See, UP was one of the first states to adopt model code, and for last many years, the system is getting so much better in UP, and later Haryana also has taken a lot of the model code into its existing act. So state after state are seeing through what is the most and ideal way of regulating schools, and at the same time let the schools do good work. So suppose Hyderabad, there is no such thing like land is allotted for schools. So in a place where the development is happening, acre 100 crores. So how do you set up a school? And how
And
much?
then you'll compromise on many other things.
Exactly. So this is a huge challenge. So now states are realizing where things went right and where things went wrong. And they are trying to tweak the existing acts or GOs. And now NAP also recognizes some of these hard realities. Things are getting better and a long way to go.
And when you advocate as organization, as a arise with the government, what is the mood of the government? Do they feel it is needed, or they feel that it is not the right time? People will misuse it.
See, what is government? In any state, 4-5 people who are the chief minister, education minister, and 2-3 secretaries.
That's it's the people, right? These 4-5 people
who are.
Yeah.
So they are well-minded, and they want to do good to the society, and they want to get that name. So that's natural interest. But the problem is who is educating them? Who is guiding them? This is what is right. So every organization goes with a vested interest in their role. They naturally need to doubt. So what is the agenda? So in the process, somewhere not everyone gets so easily aligned. So hence we are so patient, working and engaging with these people. This is what it is, and this is the transparency that we want to bring to the table. There is nothing you are hiding anything. Then once there are these 4-5 people aligned to what you are saying, then it becomes so easy. And after a few states doing it, the other states also don't mind trying it out. May not be as is, but most of it. So I can say the mood of the country is be progressive, be mindful, no systems that are opaque, create undue advantage and result into exploitation. So those issues are being well taken care and addressed in even model code. as a result, I feel that the mood of the country, because we regularly interact with many of these governments, is truly progressive.
Truly progressive.
Progressive. But from school's point of view, or most other people, so there are these kind of schools should be for charity, or the kind of their own expectations without thinking the hard realities. That's where what you think progressive is not necessarily seen as progressive by everyone.
Hmm.
That's where sometimes the political bosses need to be on back foot, because it is not so appealing to their voter base.
Hmm.
And you have seen what has happened in Delhi. So sometimes it goes so narrowly focused
Yeah.
that impacts very badly. But there were we never stopped working with either any government for that matter. And we are seeing the progressive decisions coming from different governments. Even initially, they were so prejudiced. Later on, they understand where they were mistaken.
So apart from the, the challenges that are yet to be overcome around the regulation side, what is your observation around the changing, aspirations and the way of learning of the youth? The Gen Z, uh, which is a generation that is born and bred on uh, digital medium as a mode of education, as a mode of learning, as a mode of entertainment, not so much on the book side. So do you think India is ready, or Indian school administration is ready to handle this kind of children in school and educate them properly without losing track of the essence of school education, keeping them fairly balanced around using their devices, but to the advantage of the knowledge that is available on internet, but not getting sort of carried away. We always see the issues around uh, digital detox and stuff like that. Do you think that that internet that was a boon when you started in the classroom has now become a bit of a problem because everybody is connected all the time? So the children have also gone through this journey, and now they are completely hooked on and dependent and completely intermingled with devices. So where do you see this going? The way education is going to be delivered, and what is this generation we can expect from them?
It's a long question.
Yeah,
Uh, what
but a
is
very pertinent one, because whenever I do this discussion, there are uh, thoughts, there are ideas, but there is a bit of haziness and bit of cloud that isko solve kaise karenge? How would we bring these kids back into into the classroom with their full attention, completely away from distractions of devices? And if that doesn't happen, how will they deliver and outperform?
See, what is technology? Someone explained, anything that exists before your birth is not technology for you. Only that comes up after your birth is technology. So this clarity is very important. At one point of time, book was technology, pen was technology, and a whole lot of things that were existing by the time we were born. All was technology for those generations when it came up.
Yep.
So, but we never saw them as technology. We see internet, smartphone, or digital devices as technology. But today's generation, by the time they were born, all that exists.
So they don't see this as technology.
That is not technology for them.
is the way of life.
That's it. That's the way of life. So that understanding is so important when we are talking of technology.
Mhm.
And as we have used books and pens to write and learn, and that's the way of life. Similarly, today's children use whatever the digital gadgets and internet that is available for them to learn. It is the adults, it is the teachers
Mm.
who were in the transition part of it. They see it as technology and they debate on it so much endlessly. Anything that is, so there is another thing like what is poison?
Mm.
Anything in excess is poison.
True.
So if anybody is excessively hooked to gadget, then it is a problem. But required usage and moderation that is there, it is very natural for them to leverage from it. Today anybody thinks that one can and one should learn only from book. It is the adult who is thinking so, not the child.
Mm.
That is part of it. Second thing, to your question, uh, this morning I was going through a couple of talks yesterday in Florida, FII conference. Peter Diamandis was saying by 2030 there will be only two types of companies.
Mm.
One that have fully leveraged AI and that are extinct.
That are extinct. Wow. That much of stark.
This is not after a very long time. This is the next 5 years. And also I was going through ChatGPT, their education research that they have published in US.
Mm.
The data is from US and it is the students who are using the highest in this entire equation, the ChatGPT for educational purposes.
So from that definition, AI is a technology because this has come to the kids now after they're born. And do you see that they're also trying to figure it out how to use? Of course, it's absolutely a great technology for the teachers, who were still struggling with the internet and smart devices, and then comes the AI and machine learning. So can we handle that?
So, so when students are so comfortable using AI in their for the learning purposes, when teachers are struggling, that's where this uh, challenge comes.
Right.
2021 November 30th um, was no 2022 November 30th was when ChatGPT was announced. So missing the years. By 23 March, IB said students can use ChatGPT for their educational purposes, but like you quote anyone when you produce a piece of work. If you produce a piece of work, please quote ChatGPT.
Oh, they came out with that.
That within 3 months.
Hmm.
That's what progressive means. So they saw this is going to stay and students are going to use.
Might
Then
as well.
how do we enable?
Hmm.
So getting into endless debates, whether it is right or not right, is only because you come from a different world.
Hmm.
It is going to stay. Students are going to use better. You help students how to use
Is more
for right
productively.
purposes.
Right purposes.
That's it. Anything and everything is just waste of time. Rather, it is also sometimes I see a challenge in it. When you say using new technologies for your educational purposes is wrong, but students still uses it. The students see there is a kind of I'm cheating, I'm doing wrong thing, so I should not have used, but still I have used. Now you are building a personality such that whenever in one's life, in his professional life, a new technology comes, there would be so much of resistance to use it. But by the time you miss the boat.
Yeah.
So if you are a progressive school, a progressive teacher, how soon you realize that and help your students, encourage your students to use for right purposes. Just not solving a problem for that time, you are setting this child to success. We all agree that there will be technological changes. In our professional life, we need to adopt them. Whether you are adopting with open arms or you are adopting hesitantly is what makes you are going to be success or a failure. You have to adopt any which way. That's what the way schools and teachers need to think.
It's a very important point that you make here. I mean, imagine a situation when the AI and the ChatGPT came. I don't know if there is any school out there which has said that we have taken ChatGPT usage sessions with our students and have taken them through the journey of progressive usage of ChatGPT program. I know a lot of companies have done that. But the schools are hesitant. They're afraid that it might create problems for the teachers and make at least the knowledge from them redundant and students uninterested in sitting in class. So that fear is really stopping them. And I have had those conversations with teachers and I said that if we tell them and teach them how to use it, hum log kahan jayenge?
Yeah, so in 2023 April, I was addressing group of teachers of our schools. I told them, you take my phone number from your principal and message me. The day you stop teaching in the class and you rather be just inspiration and facilitator of learning. So how much you are encouraging students to adopt the new technologies, including ChatGPT kind of generative AIs. So for them, it was a very big statement. I don't know how much they understood or have actually tried in the classroom. But because as part of our extended schools, so all the things that we do at Coschool, obviously they are in some way try to use first and get familiar with what the technology is doing, and being such a tier 3 tier 4 places, they are far ahead and far advanced when compared to most schools in metros in adopting AI technology.
Wow. So you mentioned Coschool. I mean, that's your new venture. That's where the cutting edge of AI and your deep experience in education, with Oakridge, with Junior College, Vikas Junior College. So what is Coschool and why do you think it's at the frontier of redefining education using AI?
For me, always it is because I am an educationist as well as entrepreneur. I end up seeing it in a kind of what is working in the education sector and what is the challenge, what it is creating. I constantly try to analyze it. And this entire some students are merit, some students are average, below average. All this is a systemic issue, not the human issue.
The system didn't identify them and help them in their way.
Exactly. See, if you just take a couple of steps back, this entire current education system is all evolved a couple of hundred years ago as elimination process. British and other imperial countries wanted to expand into different parts of the world, and they needed a mechanism to take people from the available. So you just provide them a kind of education and pick up people who work suit the best for you.
They needed workers, not thinkers.
They needed, so for them it was not to create a inclusive society. Rather, they wanted to pick up people who fit well for them, also very obedient. That is how the school system is all about.
Very regimented.
So very regimenting, and you just needed people who are very obedient.
You can't ask questions from seniors or teachers.
Exactly. That is the school system they have come up with. And it developed into, and finally this entire university system, the global education, everything has evolved with that base.
To serve that need.
Not necessarily, but the starting was that need, but that was the base they have laid. And the entire education has evolved based on that base.
Right.
Once the base is that, it cannot be very different.
Yeah. I mean, there is
Otherwise
limitation.
It is the limitation that you have provided.
Yeah.
As a result, that system that was devised to eliminate people, later on the sovereign government started using it to make it inclusive. See, this is the issue. What was devised for elimination, you started using for inclusive. That's where the fundamental challenge lies. So, as a result, what is happening? This merit, average, below average, all this is became norm. And we are all fortunate. The same education helped us to reach where we have reached. Hence, we don't see flaw in it. But if you look at those vast majority of people who got eliminated, it was not their fault. They were asked to go through this system and stamped on them that you are not a right person, you are not a right fit.
And had that been the case, those who've qualified, let's say, entrances or higher marks, they would have been the only successful people in the future. But that's not the case. People who failed, flunked, did not make it, a lot of the current successes have actually come from that.
That is part of it. And unfortunately, because of this reality, those who are successful through this education system are only trying to change the course of the education. Is an irony. You don't understand what goes with a student who failed by this system. And they remain there. Having said that, education also have changed so much, but all that is well within the given system.
Right.
Not by challenging what is given. And it is not possible to challenge because this entire wheel is so massive. Even you try to change anything at its core is not going to work.
Yeah.
That is the hard reality. Then how do you fix it? When you realize that is not the fault of the student, it is the system fault. What approach you take so that there is no such student who is left behind? Why do anybody left behind? Within the time frame, a given concept, the student is unable to understand. Over the time, there is this knowledge gap cumulatively building up and failing
bigger problems.
It becomes a bigger problem. As a result, the student is not able to follow. No teacher can solve that. No school can fix it. Now with the new generation of technology, the conversational generative AI is first time giving that opportunity for any learner to have conversation with technology. Before that, the best of the technology was also monologue.
It was a prompting text, yeah,
one way. So this conversational technology is going to change the way students can learn. And the AI tutor helps students to learn at their own pace and at their convenience.
But there is a fundamental assumption that AI tutor will help any student with any knowledge need, given that the student is motivated enough to take that path. So how do you fix that regimentation that comes along in a formal system where there's a teacher as a facilitator and ensures, guides and tracks and monitors the child, and the moment you are distracted or away from your target, brings you back on track. So do you think it has to work in tandem, or AI tutor will be strong enough in future that it will be able to do that job also?
That's where I said the teacher is so important in this entire learning process.
So teacher is not getting replaced?
Teacher will never get replaced. That's where most efforts also is a kind of the moment when you are an independent a technology solution for students. However good the technology is, it is a parallel universe. Student is going to school, there is a teacher, and now there is a different technology. These two are not integrated. Then this is different and that is different. So as a result, as you rightly said, where from the motivation comes, and it again only serves those motivated students. Instead, if you give this technology to the teacher in the classroom, and that teacher leverages this tutor to be there with the student as her avatar, 24/7 with the student, then for the student, it is the teacher in class is now with me 24/7. Then it is not a parallel universe.
And that is the core offering of Coschool. So how is it working? Like, where is it?
It is the school that uses Coschool and gives it to the teacher. Teacher decides what kind of work that to assign to the student, what kind of explanations and everything teacher decides. And thus it is available for the student, whatever the teacher determined. Thereby the student is now at free kind of at a comfortable space where can interact with the tutor, agree, disagree, debate, and learn the subject until the student confirms that yes, I got it. And also the tutor knows that the student understood it well. This process continues. And for the student, there is this teacher agency already there. Tomorrow teacher will point out in the class. So, and teacher has all the insights and actionables available. So teacher knows it all. So who have learned, who just played with it and everything. As a result, what happens is, because of that teacher being there, student has initially a compulsion to learn. But the moment when the student is enjoying learning through this, the compulsion becomes comfort and becomes an enabler. This is a journey, of course, but the teacher is rather not eliminated, rather teacher is empowered. And now teacher is so helping each and every student. And not only that, all the while the parent is kept out of the equation in learning process. But students on a clock hour basis, 80%.
But now they can be part of this.
They can be very much part of this learning process. Thereby the teacher, the parent, and the school leadership come together to help the student to learn without knowledge gaps. Then there is no average below average. Every student are above the benchmark.
So, what you're saying is personalized, technology driven learning is the future of education, which is fully supported and facilitated by trained academicians who are subject matter experts or they are child specialists.
They are genuine caretakers of those children. They are not at all subject matter experts. They don't need to be subject matter experts.
Which is now
You are
taken care.
It is now taken care. So you can learn with children. You don't need to be an expert at all, but you need to be so genuinely caring adult of those children.
And do you think, building those kind of teachers or those adults, is there a system that is available? I mean, I've seen, the way teachers are getting trained and brought about, B.Ed programs, certifications, they lack significantly.
See, if you look at a teacher's life,
Yeah.
it is so stressed
Right.
for no reason.
Right.
And most teachers in India are actually women, particularly in private schools. And they have 100 other roles that they need to play at home.
Yeah.
No work is reduced for them as a woman
Outside
in the
of the
society.
education. Yeah.
Education. So the kind of things that she is expected to do, they are under tremendous pressure. So, but if on top of it you put another technology, you adopt it, and you leverage it, it is again burden for them. I tell our team, if it is technology, it should be like WhatsApp.
Easy, simple.
You don't know what is working behind. It is just working. Your maid, your rickshaw puller, without any technology training, they are happily using it. That's what it should be. It should reduce the burden on them, not add to them a load of it. That is first thing. Second thing is, typically we all are so happy in providing so much of data. See, data is spam. A teacher to process all that data and come with certain conclusions, it is too big an expectation.
Yeah.
So data becoming information, information becoming insights, insights to actionables. The moment once it becomes an insight and actionable, that's when it helps teacher.
Only data and information doesn't.
They rather put burden on the teacher. So that's where the technology should be helping the teacher. And teacher assigns homework to the student, and teacher is expected to check that homework. How many students, even weekly once, 100 such homeworks to check? It is too much load for the teacher.
There also tech can help.
It is completely be done through technology, and she is just having insights and actionables. So like that at every level, today's technology is helpful for the teacher without she realizing that there is so much of cutting edge technology involved. That's what is going to be the game changer.
And what's your view on the new set of leaders that are coming in education?
Probably, you see, in India there are 1.4 million schools. When you are saying leaders in education, so out of 1.4 million, there are all kinds of leaders. But
Do you think they're carrying a lot of baggage of their education system and society expectation? What is the openness towards trying new things and innovation in your experience?
see, it is the school promoters and governments that if they give comfort and confidence to these leaders. Go try it out. We are not going to scapegoat you. Even if you fail, we accept it. But it is very important, unless you try, nothing can bring any change. So that reassurance is very important. So what kind of environment you are providing is so important for these leaders to strive and thrive. Again, different governments and different bureaucrats and school owners have different agendas and personalities. Based on that only, the school leaders can actually perform. Definitely, where the school owner and the school leader is one and the same, it is so much more easy for them to try it out and see what is working and what is not working, because the bureaucracy is less and ownership is more. The chances of trying and progressing is very high.
And did you experience the role of the third dimension, the spirituality and knowing oneself better in your education journey? So where is the space for that? Do you think that is something that we as a country carry so much with pride, but unfortunately it doesn't trickle down to the formative years of our education? We learn about that, when we are business, we are stressed out and say, oh, this is something that we can leverage and rest upon. And I always get surprised that, why was I not told or brought into those, life-changing experiences or methods when, you're in education?
When you are talking of holistic education, without having the spiritual dimension to it, it is definitely not holistic education.
You think that in holistic, this has to be an integral part?
This is integral. Okay. However, the spiritual dimension mostly comes from living experiences. Children, where they grow, the first is family. How much family conditions are into it is so much important. Then the immediate society. And for that matter, the school is an extension to the society where it exists.
Right.
So it cannot be completely be off. Those living experiences are what actually impacts the child at a spiritual dimension level. It is not so much as academic program. It is not a subject. What
it's an intervention.
It's an intervention. See, if children they quarrel, how the teacher is dealing is an experience. If you are in a competition
and you're losing,
you are losing
or
just
winning
to be honorable, than by winning all means, is what. So likewise, at every living experience is what brings you to that spiritual dimension. It's less through academics or in the form of.
No, when I say not academic, but in the part of the framework that there is in the school. So you feel that as part of the holistic,
it is a must.
It's a must. And you think schools are are able to do justice to this need or inclusion?
Largely, I say yes, because as I mentioned, they are extension to the society where it exists. There are all, so it all comes from the society. It comes from family. And you can't force them to be away from your spiritual framework. You can still feel a lot can be done. Yes, I agree. But as much that is there in the scope of school, it is because it is a human experience that is always flowing through.
We know, international curriculum is a great program. So any problem with that? Do you think that this is something that IB or Cambridge curriculum has brought us back or done a damage?
To my knowledge, or to as I was one
Or
of,
is it something which is weak and they've not really bothered to fix this?
I don't think so, because at a fundamental level, IB is not content focused. It is not content specific. It is a framework. It is a methodology of learning.
Right.
What you are providing to your students as content is at a school level you are deciding.
Is the school's prerogative?
It is the school's prerogative. So IB is not saying teach this content, don't teach this content. And IB has such a framework to provide. Actually, teachers and parents can see through how the child is shaping up. Most other curriculums, they don't have that kind of framework. They just have marks and academic outcomes. But IB has all the holistic understanding of child at a personality level, at the traits portfolio. Hence, IB, if at all done anything, it has done good. However, some things that comes with it are attributed to it, like it is an expensive program because of the resource intensiveness. As a result, people who can afford that kind of schooling, if they come together, and the kind of families they come from, if there is a display of wealth, and it becomes a competition to display wealth, then
You've lost the plot.
You lost what it is. But that you can't attribute to IB. That is coming from the families and the society.
Yeah, true. But given the challenge around it's expensive to set up schools with this kind of ethos and curriculum and framework, do you think fully online school will be a reality?
There is
there are some already in action.
The issue is the child is at home 24/7 is not a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
If parents can't send their children to a physical school for certain conditions or reasons, for them still an online school is okay.
Yeah.
But if there is a reasonable school in the proximity, it is always sending child to physical school is much more impactful.
Let's say online may be extreme. Do you think a hybrid school where you come to school for experiential learning and peer learning and engagement, but knowledge can be delivered online?
You can say today, do children need to spend these many hours in the school?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Okay, it's clear.
There is so much of waste of time.
Yeah.
So it can be reduced substantially. So if you see it as a blended model, yes, there is so much merit in it. Every minute that the student is at school should be so thoughtful, be in the process of creating such living experience for the student. It can't be wasted. We don't have any right to waste anybody's time, thus including students.
Right.
So in today's age and time, school hours can be reduced substantially.
So thank you so much, Naga, for such an insightful session. I've learned a lot. But before we let you go, any word of advice for today's students, parents, and educators? Given that we are in the age of AI, Coschool is doing a fantastic work on building that ecosystem. So what is the word of advice or your experience share for the parents, students, and the educators?
I don't know whether I have any knowledge or power to advise anyone, but what I believe I can share. So, if you see the new technology as a kind of tailwind and try to leverage it, you are going to progress. If you see it as a headwind and try to fight with it, you lose the game. Be it you are a student, be it you are a teacher, be it you are a school, or you are a government. This is such a fantastic time, and so great things can happen. Technology is never a competition to you. It is the person who adopts the technology is a competition to you at every walk of life.
Absolutely.
So if one approaches to any change that is already happened or about to happen, then things would be a lot more exciting and progressive. And someone was saying, as far as the change is concerned, in one's life, today is the slowest day. So
There ever could be.
ever could be.
Yeah. Next day is going to be faster because there will be newer technologies.
So
newer
if
ideas.
you are struggling to be okay with it with today, tomorrow is going to be even more challenging.
It'll be brutal tomorrow.
Exactly. So just flow with it and keep benefiting from whatever is happening. That's what my belief is. And whatever I am doing, also approaching with that kind of mindset. So that's how today Coschool is about to change the way learning can happen.
Brilliant. So I think on that note, thank you so much for spending your precious time here and giving us so many insights. I'm sure that our viewers will really benefit and take these nuggets to heart and try to make changes in their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Aakash. It is such a pleasure talking to you. More importantly, who understands what I am talking.
I can completely relate to what you're saying.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's such a great pleasure.
No, thank you.